Hi, I'm Tom Moore from the Bartitzer Lab, and I just want to share a little interesting home training drill that I work on with you. And I call it the doorway drill. As you can see, I'm in the doorway of my house. Now this drill is essentially to help me look at usage of boxing combinations for self-defense. Now you could plug in and use any type of striking system or striking art, whether it's boxing, combative stuff, whatever the fuck you want to do. Doesn't really matter. But the crux of the drill is this. If you imagine that most of the time we're defending ourselves unarmed, it's likely to be more than one person. It's very, 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 very uncommon now for people to have straighteners or fair fights. So you need to be able to optimize for more than one person. And still, with many of us training at home or training on the move, or if we move for work, there are some limited opportunities to how we can drill that. But the doorway drill is just one interesting way to do it. And it works thus. This side of the doorway is antagonist 1. This side of the doorway is antagonist 2. Now, if I put my efforts into just striking and fighting antagonist 1, antagonist 2 very quickly is going to grab me around the neck, tackle me down, stab me in the neck with a broken bottle, knock me out. He's going to do bad stuff because my attention is over here. So one of the useful natures of the doorway drill is to teach you how to break up and split apart your traditional combinations for one person and flow them in two separate directions. So for example, you may wish to start in the middle and you'll start conversationally and you'll start using your fence and all that other stuff. So, you'll have yourself with your passive hands, you'll have your hands in a position where they can act or react as you want them to, and you're trying to de-escalate the situation and move to a point of safety. But sometimes you can't. And sometimes you either need to preempt or react very, very quickly. So in this instance, let's say I'm talking and chatting away here to these two fine gentlemen, and they're going to cause me some problems. Instead of doing a traditional 1-2, where I may go BAM! On antagonist number 1, get used to being able to split that combination without altering the cadence or the pace that much. So I may be talking, holding the middle ground, I don't know which one is going to go for me, blah, 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 blah. Whoa, whoa. Get used to 1, 2. After which juncture then, both should be either hit or have moved to avoid being hit, offering me some space, and then you can deal with them as necessary. The great thing about the doorway drill is you've always got a doorway, so you can get used to the notion that you're going wah, 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 and then moving the fuck away, escaping out the door. Because naturally, if there's two people here, bang, bang, you're going to want to get through this gap because you don't want to stay where they're triangulating you here. You don't want 4 sets of arms fighting your 2 sets of arms. So the great thing about the doorway drill is you can get used to splitting up your combinations. 1, 2. You can then decide whether you want to add an extra item to that. So you could go 1, 2, chuck in a hook and then burst through this gap. Bear in mind that most doorway gaps are generously large, so try and move through it on a slimline profile. So again, just for basic sake, you go through your fence, you go through your dialogue, you've got these two as the sample antagonists, and you're getting used to, imagine we're really close now. Imagine this one's pulled me into whisper. This one is unnervingly close. So I need to be close to this door jamb, fire that shine, and then move through that gap. So you can start close, step off. You can start close and step through. You can even stun and run and move straight through that gap. But the doorway drill is really great for you to mess around with these combinations. An important thing to think about is, am I laying down enough fire to make sure I don't get blindsided? So any more than 2 shots here, and I'm gonna cop something from this guy at this range. So being able to go 1, 2, 3, so I might just be able to pop him with this jab here. You might pop this jab into the throat or into the jaw, into the solar plexus, whatever you get. Bang, bang, giving you a bit more time and freedom to cross and hook this dude here. And then burst your way through the door frame gap. So little door frame drill, I quite like it. It's a good thing to do. Also gets you used to moving and operating within your own home, which is a really important place to know how to defend and to be familiar with, and how do different doorways feel, and how do the back door feel, the garage feel, how do the different egress and entryways, how do they work, how do they fit your body, how can you defend yourself, how can you maintain dominance of a space. These are all things you learn by doing this kind of doorway drill at home. So breaking down the principles, the doorway acts as multiple opponents because multiple opponents are the most common adversary you're going to get. You have to be cognizant that you can't spend too much time focusing on one particular aspect because you'll take fire from the opposite aspect, especially if there's more than two. So you need to be able to get used to taking your much loved combinations. Let's say jab, cross, hook. You may break that down into jab, cross, hook. Bam, bam, bam. You might start very close, hook, step back and out, cross, hook, 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 hook. So again, being able to step off to make a bit of space, starting close, can I generate enough torque? Can I step out? Can I step in? Can I step through? These are all things you can play with when you're looking at these doorway drills. So I quite enjoy them for that. You can get a bit creative. They're great to pass the time at home, and they get you breaking up combinations that you would normally see as relatively sacred. Like I said, jab, cross, hook, jab, cross, hook. Moving my way through two opponents, hook, cross, hook, escape. It may well be that you go uppercut, hook, step back, because you know fire will be coming from here, jab, cross. Also gets used to the fluidity of what you would consider your jab and your cross, because at this hyper close range, in reality, a lot of shifting footwork has to happen, or you end up relatively parallel with how you stand. So what typically might be your jab, for me, my right hand, might suddenly become my cross if I have to fire it. Or what is my jab? My left hand typically becomes my cross. So again, you get used to becoming a bit more ambidextrous and a bit more creative with how it works. But importantly, remember, return fire can come if you spend too much time on one. So 1 to 2 maximum before you move through. I prefer 1, and then you can come back. You can come back and finish the job. You can get stun, finish the job, and move out. You've got all manner of parameters to play with. But that's just a simple doorway drill, practicing with multiple opponents, breaking up combinations and breaking up the spacing within which you would throw those combinations. So a little bit of boxing for self-defense, or you can substitute for palm strikes and chops and whatever else you want to do. But I find it interesting, useful. Hope you do too. And if you don't, fuck you, give it a whirl.